What's going on, everybody? I am late yet again for another course, but we're all good. Things are moving forward. So hopefully the notifications go out here in a second, and we'll get started here in just a second. Believe it or not, I had another technical difficulties this evening with the camera. I couldn't get the frame and focus and the color to be right. So I didn't want to go live without having that proper. So anyway, I may be talking to myself because I'm 15 minutes behind schedule. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. Happy New Year's to everyone. Hope you guys are having a good 4 days so far into 2021. Yeah, let's make this year better than the last. That's all we can do is remain persistent and ready to tackle it. So as you saw in the YouTube title, we're going to be talking about properly processing the car titles after the sale. What does that process look like? What information do you need to have on the back of the title? And what documentations you need to submit. This is going to be a consolidated lesson today. It's not going to be the whole from beginning to end. If you want that, you have to work with me more one-on-one. But this will give you a good understanding as to what you can expect when it comes to title handling. If you can hear me, go ahead and do a thumbs up or on the audio check. Ricardo, what's going on, brother? Just do an audio check, make sure everything is coming through with no problem. One second, I'm just going to do an audio check and we're going to jump right into it. All right, sounds good. Everything looks good on the audio feed. All right, so let's jump right into it. When processing your titles, there's three things I want all of you guys to remember when you're handling your titles. Three very important things. The very first thing is keep them stored safely. Your titles are pretty much your proof of ownership that you have to transfer to the new owner. So without that document, you can't transfer the ownership from the car lot to the new buyer. So it is important that you store them safely. I would suggest that you a lot of dealers leave them at their car lots in file cabinets and things like that. You can do that, obviously, if you have, a proper secured office space. That's one of the things you can do. Or you can just take your titles off site. That's what I do. All of my titles are stored off site for the most part. We do have a couple titles in the office, but those titles are going to be titles that have actually already been processed. So the state has already changed the ownership from us to the new. Well, the titles are never in our name per se on the front, but basically they've already processed the title to the new owner, and we just have the copy of the title to give to the buyer once they're done with their payments. So those are the titles that we have on site, but the titles that are in processing, right? So the vehicles that are sitting on the car lot, those titles are not held on site. And here's the reason why you may not want to hold those on site. Say, for instance, you have a break-in on your car lot. If they steal the keys, they steal the title, they steal the car, you're just done. Because now that person who's broken into the lot has everything. They have the title, they have the keys, and they have the car. So you may want to keep them off site, especially for the ones that are pending processing. So those are the cars that are currently sitting on the lot, or you just sold them and you haven't submitted the paperwork to the state. So you may want to keep them off site. For all of you guys that are in states that do not require you to process the title through the state, you just simply give the title to the customer. I would suggest the same thing, because again, you want to keep those titles very, very safeguard, because if you lose them, it's going to be a pain in the behind to get them back in your possession, because you got so many chains assignments, right? So we're going to look at a title here in a moment, and you'll see the assignments, and you have some cars that sell at auctions, they may have 4 or 5 assignments already. If it was a bad vehicle and it's been passed around. So imagine having to replace that title with all of those assignments. It just gets very difficult, to say the least. The second tip I have for you is take your time when completing your title reassignments to the new buyer. A lot of people get very, very, very frustrated, or not necessarily frustrated, but anxious, anxious when you're completing the back of the title because you don't want to make any mistakes. But just remember to take your time. Make sure you have a copy of the buyer's information in front of you, so their name, their address, their state. So pretty much the bill of sale should be in front of you when you're completing the back of the title to assign it to the new buyer. All right, but the number one or number two thing is to take your time. Okay. Number 3, know what forms are needed to make corrections. Because you're so anxious and your nerves are like through the roof when you're filling out a title assignment form, you need to know that, hey, if I make a mistake, what do I need to do to correct that? You are going to potentially make a mistake on the back of the title. That's fine. Titles can be corrected all of the time with a form, literally, and it just basically you'll fill it out to say, hey, I made a mistake here, no fraud intended, get a notary to sign off on it, and submit that with the title with the error on the back of it. So that is easy to correct versus you actually losing the title. So that's why I started out with keep them stored safely as your number one goal, pretty much, because any of the errors on the back, as far as the grammatical errors and things like that, can be corrected. All right, so let's go to the comments. I think it's going to just be okay. All right, Ricardo says I'm good. Ricardo, do you have any questions? Just you and I on here, man. Do you have any questions about any of those 3 tips that I just laid out? All right, filling out the back of the title is pretty simple, pretty easy. So let's go ahead and jump into that. Let's share my screen and we're going to jump into it. So very first thing is let's just look at a title so you can see what I see. I think you should be able to see that. Let me just check my feed, because this is a one-man show. So I like to make sure I'm not just doing some crazy or saying stuff that just doesn't make sense. And okay, cool. All right, so this is the front of the title here, and I'm gonna just show the title itself full, and let's see if I can make that bigger for y'all. Oh, that's too big. Okay, y'all gonna have to just make do with that. I can't make it any bigger. But anyway, this is the front of the title. I did redact the title because this is an actual title that I had in my possession before with one of my vehicles, but the vehicle the vehicle was salvaged, and so this is a copy of the title. So some important things on the title that you're gonna need to be able to pinpoint. Number 1 is the title, the current title number. If you are a dealer in the state of Alabama, or if you're about to become a dealer in the state of Alabama, you're going to definitely need your title number to any of your titles. So this is where they're found. Each state title number is completely different. Georgia typically starts with a 7, and it's a pretty long number. Date of issue is another important date that you're going to need on the front of the title when you're going into reassign it to a new buyer. But besides that, that's it. If there's a lien on the front of the title, you need to have either a release down here, or you need to have a repossession affidavit. So if you buy a vehicle from the auction and there's a first lien. Now, let me say this. When you're buying cars from the auctions, the title clerks at these particular auctions are going to make sure, or they should, their job is to make sure that you are getting the titles properly addressed to you. Okay, they should make sure of that. So you shouldn't have too much of a problem. Let me see if I can, okay, perfect. I can get it bigger. So, oh crap. So that's what I was talking about, the title number, the date of assignment right here. And then just looking for the lien holder. If there is a lien holder here, make sure there's a release on the front, or if there should be a repossession affidavit attached to the title. Okay. And that's pretty much it on the front, man. Obviously, you just want to confirm. Now, here's why it's important to confirm your VIN numbers. You know, at least the last 6, because sometimes you'll get a title. Well, you should not get a title. I had an issue at my car lot where the title, the VIN number on the title was different from the VIN number on the door of the car. And my sales manager took the VIN number from the door of the car because they don't have possession. You know, your salespeople aren't going to have possession of your titles, or at least they should not. And so she went with that number, but the title had a completely different number because maybe that door was a replacement door, and they didn't take off the placard with the VIN number on it. So that's why it's just important to, you know, double check your VIN on your windshield, the frame of the car against your title. Just make sure that there's no discrepancies with that. All right. Let's look at the back of the title now, because that's where most of your work is gonna be done. Let me make it bigger for you. All right, so this is the back of a title. Typically, this is a Georgia title that we're using as an example for. Every title will be completely different. They all have their different layouts. The goal is to, you know, learn the basics, not necessarily each particular state. So we're going to talk about what your title must have on the back, or how it, you know, at least the core things that a title need to have, or need to say, or need to express, whatever word you want to use. All right, so assignments. So notice to buyer, this is typically the first place to sell a vehicle is at the top. So if you look at this back of this title, I want to point something out. So this box here is going to be duplicated, I think, 4 times on the back of a Georgia title. So this is one area here. This is the second. Okay, let me pause. So on the Georgia title, this first box here is reserved for the transfer from the owner, typically, right? To be completed by the seller. So this section here. So for the most part, your titles will already have this part filled out when you buy it from the auction. Now, if you're buying a car from an individual, you're going to fill out the top section. You're not going to go dealer first assignment. Okay, we're going to get there, but just remember that this section, the first notice to buyer section of a Georgia title, needs to be filled out by the seller. So the seller needs to be the signature on the back. Now the seller is the person's name on the front of the title. Okay, that is the seller, the owner of the vehicle. So this is where they would fill out their information here of who they're selling it to. Purchaser legal name. Now, if it's a company, like we have here, it's a company. The address, the date of transfer will always be on the back of your titles. Your odometer reading should be on the back of your titles. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the exemption rules in a minute. If your title if your odometer has a known discrepancy, then you need to check this indicator here. And then you go ahead and you sign, you know, the 2 individuals will sign. So the seller will sign on this section here, seller print, and then they sign up under. The buyer will print and sign up under. Now, up under the actual seller's box, because again, this notice to buyer, this first section of a Georgia title is reserved to be completed by the seller. So the current owner needs to complete this. All right. So your assignment sections will be up under the seller transfer to the buyer. So the way you fill this part out is similar to up here. It looks a little different, but you're going to have, Georgia gives you 3 dealer assignments form, sections on the back of a Georgia title. And this is a short Georgia title. If you are a dealer, you know that Georgia recently changed their titles to long form versus short form. So the longer forms have more space within these boxes. That's the only difference. So I think you still only have 3 assignments, but the spaces are bigger. Let me see here. Let me slow down. I'm gonna go to the comments here. What is relief in who does it? Okay, I don't know what relief. What do you mean by relief, Ricardo? Run that by me one more time. I kind of got ahead of myself here. I wasn't looking at the comments. What is relief? Let's see if he meant like release. Let's see. I can't. Yeah, I can't. Run that question back, Ricardo. Anton says, hi, how you doing, Anton? Appreciate you joining. All right, let's keep going here. The dealer section to be completed. So now some titles will have instructions. Like this Georgia title says, do not use red ink. All right. Some may say do not use blue ink or something of that nature. You know, you just got to make sure you're reading your titles, okay, on the back for any different instructions. So here we have the purchaser. So if you go to the auction, okay, and you buy this vehicle, now your name will go here. So you would become the purchaser. In this case, Eminent Motors LC bought this vehicle. Their address is 930 Front Street, Mableton 30126. The county should be to the right, Cobb. But if you can't fit the county in, that's okay. But you should always try to do what it asks for, okay? Because some states will kick things back for just the most minute issue. Permanent dealer ID number or dealer master tag number. Now, if you are not a Georgia dealer, you're not going to have what they call a dealer master tag number. You will have just a dealer license number, right? So some of the jargon on the back of certain titles are going to be consistent with their state laws and state rules. So like, for instance, if you're a Georgia dealer and you buy an Illinois title, which I'll try to find one. I should have probably did that just to show you a difference. Let's see. I'll try to pull it up in a minute. Let's see if Ricardo got his question. Nope, he never brought his questions up. So just remember that the dealer permanent ID number or master dealer number is essentially your license number. Okay, Georgia call it the master tag number, but that's typically what's going to go in this section here for the state of Georgia. So whatever your dealer license number is in your state will go in this section here. Dealer registered name. So dealer registered name is going to be the name of the seller who sold the vehicle here. So it would be that this Ford Lincoln of Alpharetta. Okay. Now, odometer reading. Now let's go back to the, let's go back to the front of the title so you can see the year of this vehicle. Let's see. And this is difficult to do. I can see that now. This is going to be difficult to like present this from here. So this vehicle is a 2005. Now federal law, the federal odometer disclosure statement states that any vehicle 10 years or older mileage can be exempt. Now, I will tell you, for all of you Georgia dealers that are going to become a Georgia dealer, they are moving towards 20 years. So anything 20 years or older can be exempt. Anything 20 years or newer, or I guess 19 years or newer, will need a mileage on the odometer entered on the back of the title. Now, what does that mean for you? You cannot, two individuals, the same individual cannot, well, so let's say this. Let me say this way. 209, 359 is the mileage, okay? They could have wrote exempt in this section because the vehicle was over 10 years old. Okay, they could have did that easily, no problem. But they chose to put the mileage there. They did not indicate that there was a discrepancy. Neither one of these boxes are checked. So there's the miles are actual. Is perceived to be actual based upon them not checking any of these boxes. All right. Now, when you go down here, dealer assignment to sell it to your customer, to the customer who ultimately buys it from the car lot, you will do the same thing. You will put the customer, the purchaser, legal name. You will put their address, the county of their residence, where it says dealer permanent ID number or dealer master tag. That will be blank because they're not a dealer. Registered dealer name will go here, would be your name because you are the seller. So the selling dealer typically go right here where it says registered dealer's name. The name will go there. The mileage. Now, based on the new law, January 1st, 2021, state of Georgia says anything 20 years or newer, or 19 and whatever, anything under 20 years old the mileage must be expressed on the back of the title. Now, when there's mileage on the back of the title, the buyer has to sign for it. Like the seller can't sign here and then do a POA. You could do a POA, power of attorney, but you have to get somebody that's in your dealership. The same person can't. The same person cannot confirm mileage. It's got to be a different party. Okay, I mean that's just a matter of fact. So with that being said, most Georgia dealers are now going to have to start using title supplement reassignment forms, unless you wait to get titles to sell the vehicle. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit more about that with my clients, but literally you're going to have to get soon. Well, it's already here, January 1st. You have to have a odometer here, an actual mileage, and that mileage has to be signed off by the buyer or a POA. But if that's the case, it's got to be two people. So you got to have somebody to do the POA and then somebody to sign for the dealership. So it can't be Raymond Riley POA, right? You can't do that. It has to be a separate person on the selling side for the dealership. So if you're a one-man operation, you have to have a title supplement reassignment form completed by the buyer with the particular mileage on that particular form, and then you can just put that on the back of the title. You can staple it to the back of it, and that will suffice for this section. So what a title supplement reassignment form, that is, I'm gonna show you what that looks like here. Let's see if it shows. Let me see. Oh, that's the ETR remote. Okay. 1 second, guys. I'm trying to get you a copy of a title supplement reassignment. So you can see what it looks like at least. Let's see. That's just the back of the title. Alright. What's going on? Trying to show y'all this doggone form, man. Let's see. Let's see if I can open it in Google so you can see it. And like I said, it's literally just the back of the title. Oh, that's the correction. see. Hold on, y'all. All right. So I got it. Let me share this one here so you can take a look at this. Let's see. So this is what a title supplement form looks like. It is literally, let's make it bigger. So it's literally the same thing as a title on the back for the most part. So this is it on this side, the red side. So motor vehicle dealer title reassignment supplement. Okay. So you see how it has these spaces here? You can actually use this form when you do not have the actual title at the time of selling the vehicle. You can just basically, it's so pixelated, but essentially signature of seller would go here. So that would be your signature, your dealer license number, your print, your name, and then the name of your dealership, your address. And then the buyer would go ahead and sign, no dealer number for the buyer because they're not dealers. They would print their name. And then up here is where you would put the actual mileage that's on the odometer. Okay. On this line here, you would put their name and their address, which when you print this out, you'll be able to see it. Up here is where you would put the title number, the VIN number, the year, make, and model. So that way the DMV will know what VIN number this supplement applies to. So you also do the date of sale as well. So essentially, it is the exact same thing as the back of a title. Okay. So I would definitely say if you're going to be in the state of Georgia as a dealer, you want to make sure you have a nice stack of these. So when you sell the vehicle, you have a signed reassignment supplement form that can staple to the back of the title, so they don't kick your information back saying that the title was not signed by the buyer. Okay, and then this other form is just a secured power of attorney. So you can do power of attorney for things like mileage discrepancy. Mileage, disclose the mileage. So they can sign here. But again, I think I would need to talk with my attorney. But I'm almost 100% sure that you can't do a POA for like you and then sign your own name and then sign their name as POA. I think it has to be two separate people on the back of it. But I could be wrong, so you definitely want to reach out to an attorney regarding this, the power of attorney to disclose mileage. But my experience, you have to have two different people on the back when it comes to the mileage being specified. All right, I got Ricardo's question here. I was talking about the part. I was talking about the part on the front, title down at the bottom. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so a release. So what the title, you're talking about, let's share this screen. So you're talking about this section here. So release of lien is so if you buy a vehicle, oh man, that's big. If you buy a vehicle from the auction and you see that the buyer, the owner, the original owner, so our owner name goes here. I took it out because this is YouTube and I don't want people information to get out there like that. But literally, John Doe would be here, 123 Smith Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 30303, right? And then it would have, let's just say, Credit Acceptance Corporation, P.O. Box, blah, 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 right? So what that means is that that car, the owner is John, but he has a loan with Credit Acceptance. And until Credit Acceptance say that they have received their money, you're not going to see anything down here because they haven't released the lien. Once Credit Acceptance get their money, they're going to do a date of release. They're going to sign it, or put their name, print their name here, and then they're going to sign it. And then at which point, once that is done here, the state of Georgia will say, okay, that buyer, John Doe, paid off Credit Acceptance, so he has the right to sell the car to ABC Motors. Okay. Now, in lieu of the release of security, you will have a repossession affidavit, which basically covers against having to have a release, because essentially a repossession means that John, the owner, refused to pay, and credit acceptance, the lien holder, repoed the vehicle. Therefore, they have right to sell the vehicle because they have interest, a security interest in the vehicle based upon the collateral, based upon the fact that there was a collateral and the debt wasn't paid. Okay, so you don't have to worry about it too much, Ricardo. You being one of my mentees, I'll definitely make sure you are good to go. Let's see how long I've been running. 30 minutes. 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes. That's all I like to commit to for all of the freebies. But definitely, guys, make sure you're taking your time when you're doing your titles. Let's see. Anton M says, is COVID making the application wait time longer? I've had my application in for 7 weeks. Wow. What state are you in, Anton? That would help me. That would help me assess what state are you in. If you can throw the answer in there really quickly. But just in general, I don't know. I haven't processed an application, so I'm not sure if they have backlogs or anything like that. I'm not sure. So yeah, man, go back. I'm going back over the top 3 things to remember though when handling your titles. You guys can go back and watch, just kind of filling it out and what to do on the back and all of that. But just remember to keep them stored safely. Take your time when you're completing them, and know what forms are needed to make corrections. That's what I need to do. I need to show you guys the forms to make corrections. All right, let me show you that. So when you make a mark on the back of the title, like you spell someone's name wrong, you cannot strike it out, okay? You cannot use whiteout on the back of the title either. You have to use what we call a correction. Hold on. Let's see here. Show you this. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. What happened to that? What happened to the... I must have moved it off. Okay, so here we go. Let me show you guys this. So for all of you guys that are going to be in the state of Georgia, running your car lot, this is a Georgia Department of Revenue. Make sure that's big. Yeah, you can see that. And let's go back in. So literally, it's called the T11. So Georgia has codes for their forms. All states have pretty much code for their forms. So you just have to figure out what the form number is or code is, so you can have access to it. Georgia Department of Revenue, Motor Vehicle Division, affidavit of correction. So when you make an error, reason for title assignment correction. So I did a typographical error. Customer changed their mind. Like basically, you made out the title to that customer. They said, I don't want to buy the car anymore. So you had to skip that. That's why you had to skip the box 2 and sell the car to box 3. And then you just kind of choose. And then if it's something that's unique, you can do other, and you can type in why you want to make the correction. And you can also attach a form to this, like an actual PDF, like a Word document. If you want to type it out, you can just put see attached document, and then you can write as much information as you want to explain what happened. You put the title, the VIN number, the make and model, and then you'll sign. Now, when you make a correction, you have to have a notary to do your signature, okay? And this form here just kind of tells you how to use the form and what penalties could be charged and all that stuff. I'm going to show you the state of Alabama form as well, because I had that pulled up. So this is the state of Alabama. Now, every single state has one of these forms. So it's just a matter of you going... What'd I do? It's just a matter of you going to find it, seeking it out, okay? But essentially, it's same thing. You'll do on this type of correction. It's an assignment of title by registered owner or it's a reassignment of title by a licensed dealer. So all of our stuff in the state of as a dealer, Jesus, I can't talk tonight. As a dealer, this is what you're going to be selected: reassignment of title by licensed motor vehicle dealer. Okay, because you are a dealer. Assignment number being corrected if applicable. If there's an assignment number, so like, you know, the space 1, 2, 3, you'll put that there. And then you'll put the title information, so the current title number. And then here in Alabama, they give you a little bit more space to justify what, you know, what's your reasoning for changing it. And then you can correct the section here. So this is where you make your corrections. Should the buyer and seller sign at different times, their signature must be notarized separately. So essentially you have to, you know, get it notarized as to what your corrections are on that form as well. So anytime you make a correction to a title, typically it's going to need to be notarized. Now, again, if you have a vehicle that's 10 years older in the state of Alabama, you can exempt this, so the buyer doesn't even need to sign it if the car is within 10 years old, over 10 years old, sorry. But again, if you're using those title supplement forms, you're not going to have these problems because you're getting them signed off. You're getting them signed off at the time that they're buying the car, because the supplement form works as the back of the title essentially. So if you have every buyer, regardless of the year of the vehicle, sign the title supplement form, regardless if it's 10 years old, 20 years old, you're going to have the back of the title signed with the mileage that's on the odometer on the supplement form. Okay. All right. Ohio. Okay, Ohio. Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Also, what is the mentor thing? I'm young and still trying to figure this out. Absolutely. I'll tell you what website to go to. You can go and take a look. Essentially, I offer a mentorship program where I can help you and work one-on-one with you. And my keyboard ain't working. work one-on-one to do things like this. So this is the live educational session where we talk a little bit about certain topics. And I don't go as deep as I would go if we're working together, but I do as much as I can within 30 minutes. So essentially, you'll have an opportunity to work with me one-on-one. So that's the website, grindreloaded.com. You can go there, look at the prices and all that stuff. And you say you already have your application submitted. So we would just start from a standpoint of once you get licensed, then I can come up to Ohio and work with you one-on-one. That's pretty much what the mentorship program entails. All right, guys. I thank each and every one of y'all for tuning in and being here. And I'm sorry about being late again. Hopefully next week is better. I don't know. Also, drop in the comments after the video is taken or after I get off the broadcast. Tell me some topics that you would want to know. You know, what are some information that you feel like you need to know a little bit more help with. Put that in there. All right. And I'll look out for it, and maybe I can work some sessions around those particular subject matters, because again, this is to help you in your pursuit of being the best used car dealer you can be. So thank y'all for tuning in. I'll see y'all next week, Monday, 8:15 Eastern. I will be on time. All right. Take care, guys. Be well, be safe, and stay healthy. See you soon.